Welcome back to Queerly Thinking. I am Reese Wheatley, and my co host Sam is actually out for the week, so I am going to be doing this episode solo. And so I guess we'll get right into it. I'm sorry if I'm not super animated this episode. I am very tired, I'm very burnt out. It has been a week for the trans community in the state of Kentucky. So yeah, I'm tired and burnt out, and I don't plan on making this episode very long, but I do want to touch on. So yesterday I was at the Frankfurt, or the Capitol in Frankfurt, the Kentucky State Capitol, and I went to a rally that was hosted by a bunch of teenagers from a high school. I don't remember what high school, but I will definitely link it in the comments. But yeah, so they hosted a rally, and there were a bunch of speakers of kids under the age of 18, and they actually opened the floor at the end of the episode for anybody that wanted to speak that was K through 12. So what they were rallying for was Senate Bill 150. I believe we touched on that the last episode, and me and Sam discussed on some of the language in it being really broad, and us assuming that Bashir was going to veto it, which he did a few days ago, which led to what happened yesterday. So to touch on the rally was amazing. I was very impressed with the turnout, and I think it was a really beautiful piece of symbolism for where the youth of America is taking us when they are old enough to vote, when they are old enough to run for Senate or the House or Congress, etc. If they want to be a city council member, a mayor, people in the queer community are definitely going to change the world when they are older. And that's what they're doing right now. And it was amazing. I took some pictures and video, and I'm putting another story up about it. But it was very moving as a trans person myself. I came from a hormone appointment myself that morning, literally straight from it. And it was it was overwhelming for that purpose, and also just because it was the realization that these kids are not going to be able to get the same care that I'm getting right now, and that is hurtful, and it breaks my heart for them and for the future of being trans in the state of Kentucky. So the bill ended up passing through the House, I want to say around 3 o'clock, and then it passed through, or it passed through the Senate around 3, and then it passed through the House. Um, but yeah, so the bill specifically, they had general language in it, but the bill specifically, and I'm looking at notes so I make sure I get this right, the bill specifically bans all gender affirming medical care for trans youth, which is anyone under the age of 18. It requires doctors to detransition minors in their care if they're using any of the restricted treatment options, which include HRT, testosterone, puberty blockers, etc. It prohibits conversations around sexual orientation or gender identity in school for students of all grades. Still a little broad here, but it also requires school districts to forbid trans students from using the bathroom tied to their gender identities. So if someone, presuming they have not changed their gender marker because they are now under the age of 18 and not allowed to, assuming that that is also included in the broad language of the bill, students can be kept from using the bathroom that they identify with. And it also allows teachers to refuse to use the pronouns a student identifies with. So if a teacher wants to misgender a student, they can. I believe that is in law now. So if a teacher wanted to misgender someone, they could do that. Yeah, that's a hard truth. That's the truth of the state of being trans in Kentucky right now. And being in Frankfurt yesterday, going back to that, and seeing at least the first passing in the Senate is something that overtook me. I had to drive back to Lexington after, and I called my mom and let her know that it was for sure passing yesterday. And it was just a a moment of realizing that all of these kids that just pleaded, along with a bunch of medical professionals and mental health professionals and a bunch of businesses in the state of Kentucky, I I'm so calm about it because I think I was so angry most of yesterday. I think that I also have said before that being on testosterone inherently, I'm transitioning. I'm basically going through puberty, so I'm already angry enough most days, but like I'm not inherently an angry person, but yesterday I was enraged. I feel very passionate about this because not only am I trans, but I know plenty of trans youth that are being affected by this. And it's overwhelming to think that I was at the Capitol with so many people that are being affected by this now and whatever is going to come into law. And the ACLU plans on filing a lawsuit, and we'll see what happens with that. But in the state of Kentucky, I have no doubt in my mind that this will become law. And the most that the ACLU, I think, is going to end up being able to do is slow it down so people can come up with plans. I had to ask the heartbreaking question to my provider at UK, are you all going to refer me to someone in a different state if for some reason they go for people over the age of 18? And he said yes. And I want to remind anyone that forgets, not everyone has the means or the money to travel hundreds of miles to go get gender affirming care. This is life-saving care that we are taking away from people under the age of 18. And not only is it beating down on people under the age of 18, but it's beating down on their parents. It's taking away that decision. It's taking away their human right to be who they are. And I cannot believe, I am still in disbelief that it is 2023 and I'm sitting here telling you this and relaying this message as someone who is trans myself. And it's also overwhelming for anyone over the age of 18 that still gets their care. Because what's next for us? What is next for us? Because, in my opinion, all of this, complete bullshit. Hate to say it. And I usually don't say these kind of things on my podcast. But I mean it with my full heart when I say that I am ashamed to live in this state. I am ashamed that certain universities have not been outspoken about this bill and the passing of it. I'm still waiting to hear back from most. And the amount of lives that are going to be lost after the passing of this bill is going to be overwhelming, and all of the blood is going to be on the hands of the people that passed it. Period. End of story. And I wish that I could be coming to you with this episode with a different vibe and a different aspect, and I wish I was in a better mood, to be frank with you. I wish I felt better about all of it, and I wish it didn't pass and that they chose the right thing, but they didn't because they're cowards and they only care about themselves, and they don't care. They don't want us to be visible. They want us to go back in the closet. And honestly, now that the bill is passed, I know plenty of people that are trans that are so burnt out they do not want to be out anymore. They just want to, they want to be out, but they don't want to be visible because it's exhausting. Existing in this world right now is exhausting. I can't tell you how much sleep I've lost. I can't tell you how many tears I've cried behind closed doors. And I can't convey how disheartening it is to witness people that I love go through this. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode because that's all I can say about it. But be kind to yourselves. And to anyone in the trans community, I want to reiterate, you are valid, you are loved, and you are wanted here. Maybe not in this state to legislators, but you are wanted by the trans community, by educators that showed out yesterday to Frankfurt, by anybody that loves you, which should be everybody, mind you, but you are loved, and please ask for help. Thank you for joining.